let me just tell you that he is one of the most six most powerful people in the Sangh, which makes him one of the eight most powerful people in the country. Now, let me ask you: when we're talking about bringing culture into education, Indian culture into education, what exactly do you mean?
I am full-time worker of RSS, so I represent RSS here. So, in the view of RSS, culture means values. Value, as one of our great scholars of our time, Professor M. Hiranya, he has explained, what it means to me. He uses a very beautiful sentence. While facts are comprehended, values are realized. For example, here is water. It's now, for me, it's a drinking water. It may be for another use when you go to washroom. It may have another value if we go to Rajasthan. So, what it means to me is the value. So, when we think of culture, it's an Indian concept of values for us. Whether we see our mother in this water, or if we consider what we can say, the nature, the mountains, if we can see God in all of them, we call it as Charachara Shushti. These are the values. Whether my respect to women folk, it's my value. So, when RSS thinks of culture, it is in Sanskrit is known as Samskriti. It's full of values. And as I said, value, ultimately, it's what means to me. So, we are working for that.
Thank you. When I was studying in school, and Hindi was part of our curriculum, so I learned Hindi since I was a child. There are many states, quite a number of states where Hindi is not the mother tongue, or is not perhaps taught also in school. When the first government of India demarcated India, they divided the states on the basis of language. So it was more of like respecting a federal aspect of language. So do you think they did right? I mean, was it the right move to do?
I would say India, as we say, not only unity in diversity, diversity is there, it has to be experienced. So, every language, every sect, cult, everybody has a space. According to our Hindu culture, for which RSS is working, everybody has a space, everybody has to respect others' space also, whether it is language, whether it is cult, whether it is religion, or whether it is way of worshipping.
No, I was asking whether do you think it was right to have divided India on the basis of language?
And that, what we can say, at that time, those who have thought about it, they divided on it. But as we see, is it working? Yes. For evolvement or what we can say, for example, if we take South Indian languages and based on which our states have been divided, there are plenty of priority in that area for that language. But is it a uniting force? It's debatable. For example, Telugu speaking people only they have divided into two states. And Hindi speaking, there are so many states. So, for as I said, for the development of that language, it may have a help. But for the unity of the country, there is no contradiction. But I would say only dividing a state based on language, whether it is required or not, it's a debatable thing.
Thank you. That was an interesting answer indeed. What I want to ask you, another question, is that you are in a very powerful position to influence the cultural dialogue of India. You know, how people respond to culture in education and debate. Now, how would you how would you inculcate it, you personally and the Sangh as a group?
One thing I have to clarify, in Sangh, we doesn't think as position of power. We call it, or we also
I
feel,
meant it,
also
I meant
it's a
influence.
responsibility.
I meant
Yeah.
influence.
Huh?
I meant influence. Yeah.
Influence, it's okay. So it's my responsibility. We call it in Sangh as Sah Sarkar, that is Joint General Secretary. It's a responsibility, not as a power. It's okay. Then, when we think of whether culture, values, and which has to be imbibed in our future generation also, or present generation also, the education which we think is of threefold. Many people think that it will be between 9 and 5. Yes, 9 and 5 is a schooling. But when it comes to education, we think there is another part which has to be fulfilled by their families, another part which has to be fulfilled by the community. So, a child or anybody, student, they will get educated in these three ways: in their homes, in their families, that is, second, through their communities, and also school. So, when we think of to imbibe our values as a culture, RSS thinks that in all these three phases, it has to be fulfilled. Many times it will be confused with only schooling. Many people ask, what has to be taught through textbook, all those things, it's not in a proper way, all those. Yes, textbook is a very important thing, or schooling is also a very important thing. But schooling is not the ultimate thing, that's what we think. As Mark Twain said, I have not allowed my education or my schooling to be, I have not allowed my schooling to interfere with my education. Yes.
Yeah,
Say right.
that's really well said. So
Right.
to take off from my earlier question and a new question. See, education from it influences young minds. Actually, it establishes the foundation of a mindset or an intellectual framework of a person from childhood to youth to this. Now, both in Calicut University and in Delhi University, I've studied political science, so I studied the Communist Manifesto, and I was not a communist, I'm still not a communist, so I couldn't really understand why that is part of the curriculum. Now, linking my first question to the second, I mean, there has been insistence or there has been suggestions from the RSS and sections of the government that the Bhagavad Gita should be part of the curriculum. Now, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana is in separate languages. There is in Malayalam, it's in Tamil, it's in. So, do you think our epics, and epics are not, there are a lot of metaphor in epics. I mean, epics are not like just stories. I mean, they come from a certain historical, I wouldn't say perfect history, but a certain historical impulse is there. So, does the Sangh have any plan to teach the students of the future, the future that kind of a curriculum?
No, Sangh actually consider our epics, our scriptures as a very valuable thing, which we have from our ancestors, and it has to be given to this generation or future generation. There is no second question about it, whether it is Ramayana, Mahabharata, or anything. But it has to be given in a mode or in a channel through which today's generation or Gen Z can consume it. So we have our own efforts. Sangh's basic activities, our 1 hour daily shaka, where we try to teach all these things through our games, what we can say, through stories, storytelling, all those things. But when it comes to total educating a person, as I said, it involves much more than this 1 hour. 1 hour, our way of teaching has given so much of it. Since 100 years, we are working on it. It has given, what we can say, I would say, great results. But apart from it, if you have to educate the generation, it needs more. As I said, school is also one of the, this one, community is also one of the, but as you mentioned, Ramayana, the scripture or the great works like Ramayana, Mahabharata, it has a very important role, and we respect them and also we believe in them. That's what RSS thinks.
Yeah, but how do you, yeah, believing is one thing, but how will you make it part of a syllabus? Do you plan to make this part of the syllabus?
No, RSS, as you know, RSS works in a different area. To bring it to syllabus, to bring it to what we can say framework, that is a national curriculum framework, all those things, it's the job of the government. There are people who have the same view as RSS, who are in the government today. They are trying to bringing it up. Making it syllabus, yes, there may be some, the new education policy, national education policy has done a great work to focus about, when they call it as holistic education, or in the another parlance it could be called as liberal education. When they talk about holistic education, it has this aspect also, that is bringing in the whole, the our what we have had from our ancestor Rishi Munis. It has also value today in the world.
How would you say that?
For example, in the last session only, our speaker, he was showing there about the question of ethics for this AI. If you remember, in about 25 days back, we lost a great mind, I would say, Suchir Balaji. Before how he has died, it's a question. Yesterday also there were so many discussion about it. But few days before, he has written a what we can say essay, and he has shared with his friend, some Russell Kaplan or somebody. He has shared now, in which he has gone through how AI should be evolved, what ethics should be there, all those things. His the caption was, in the long run, it comes to fundamentals. So now also we experienced, though it was a presentation related to AI, but somebody has to operate Mac with Keynote. That was missing there. Yeah. So I'm just joking. But when it comes to fundamentals, I would say, how AI should evolve, this is a value, we call it as a cultural value. There should be some, I would say, tech dharma for it. It is a value. Tech dharma, how to use it, how not to use it, what you have to do, that has to be decided by the person. It could not be regulated ultimately by government or anybody. Because technology is like that, it's just like a wave. If you try to regulate it, it will come out of your fingers and it will go to next, it will pass. So it has to be regulated in our minds only. How to use it, how to not use it. So I'm just giving an example. So when it comes to culture, or if you have to be imbibed, whether through community or whether through school or whether through our society, this ethics also has to be given. That's what we feel.
Okay, let me put the question in context. For example, when you plan to build an edifice, a house, you first build the foundation, then you add the rooms, then you add the pillars, then you add the roof, and then you kind of put in the furniture. In my line of work, I meet a lot of people, some in the government, some in the administration, some in the bureaucracy, some etc. Many of them have, I wouldn't say complained, have said that when it comes to important positions in the establishment, the Sangh, people who are associated with the Sangh get priority. And for the occasional economist or technocrat, none of the major leading faces of this administration belong to another discipline, even though many people who are ideologically aligned with the government. So are the main positions, I mean, whether it be ministries, whether it be bodies, whether it be cultural bodies, economic bodies, they're all I do not have empirical proof, you know better, are dominated by Sangh or led by Sangh people. Is that true, number one? And if that is true, doesn't it kind of exclude an entire, other kind of thought from that?
No, it's not the view of Sangha. If the government has done like that, it's their problem. In Sangh, we use two terminologies. One is Samaj Parivartan, that is social transformation. Another is Vyavastha Parivartan, system change. We have a clear picture about it. When it comes to social transformation, it's the transformation of the mind, whether individually mind, it's a transformation of mindset, change of mindset. It's whether an individual or a family or a community or the society. Sangh is trying to make the mindset of the society so that it respects our culture, our values, all those things. But when it comes to systemic change, that is Vyavastha Parivartan, what I see is there should be people or persons or team of people at some key position, whether it is a village temple or a school up to parliament. Every society has its own systems, whether it is a judicial system, whether it is education system, all those things. Sangh doesn't think that to change that system, everybody should be off from RSS background. Whoever have the integrity, honesty, patriotism to our society, our culture, our mother society, they should lead. It's not that RSS has taken contract that everybody in the, what we can say, system should be of RSS. You don't believe in it also. We call it as Sajjan Shakti, well-meaning people of the society. They should take the lead. And RSS wants to be in the back room only. If some people from RSS background, if they have gone there, it's government decision, not RSS decision. We have a separate, we have what we can say, a line between it.
Okay. And, the Indian education system from the 50s to early 2000s were dominated by what you call the left. So the left was the left-wing historians. I think it's the left-wing historians who dominated the Indian, set the Indian educational agenda, Indian social agenda, Indian, everything is the Indian social. So there is a pushback which was there. So is the Sangh leading the pushback? Is it working closely with the government to kind of lead the pushback? And what sort of a pushback should it be?
No, we doesn't see as a pushback. Sangh from its inception wants our society has to, it should has its fundamental based upon, we call it as Bharatiya Drushti, Indian view. And we are feeling since decades that we are missing it in so many, we are not blaming any single person or a political party, anybody. Somewhere we are missing, whether they are leftist, socialist or anybody, capitalist, anybody. We thought that, or we also felt that, now also feeling that, there should be some, what we can say, the pure Bharatiya Drushti, Indian view for every, whether it is politics, whether it is industry, whether it is judiciary, everywhere there should be, because we have thousands and thousands years of experience as a society. Everything should not be copied from West. Yes, there are so many good things which we have to take it, and in our scriptures also we are told, no, brother, anything good, it should come to us. But it's not that everything should be copied. Our great thinkers from Sangh side, they said, modernization is not westernization. Modernization is adhunikata. If you feel
good point.
New thing has to come, it has to come. That's what now also we feel like that. Whether it is history or ethics or civil or anything, technology, we have to have our Bharatiya Drishti. That's what we think.
Well, the power of the West came from looting from India over centuries. So, I mean, billions and billions of, anyway. So, that is a completely separate issue. Now, how do you kind of, what is the larger, when you say Indian culture, you're not being specific. I want slightly more specific things. when we say Indian culture, Indian values, what is the specificity of it? I mean, if I was sitting in the audience, I would feel that it's a general state, it's a general phrase. I mean, can you specify it a bit?
No, Indian culture, as I said, one, we should have some values which have grown in this one. For example, as I said, how Bharatiya Drushti thinks. As I said, we see God in everything. So, our ancestors, when there was no climate change or when there was no global warming, they thought that our creation has to be respected and we have to live with it. It should not be exploited. This is one of the values or the viewpoint of our ancestors. Like that, if I say, Matruvat Paradareshu, if I can see motherhood in every other woman, then definitely I will respect her and I will also protect her. This value has to be imbibed from the childhood. There are so many, it's not that only gender neutrality. We say that gender respect, or as I said, there should be tech dharma, or I can say, we have to respect our, we call it as runatrayas. We are here in this world because of our pitrus. It is called pitru runa, devaruna. This whole creation, because of it only we are here. This is devaruna or rishi runa. We have this knowledge from our ancestor. Because of this only we are standing on their, what we can say, shoulders and seeing the world. These all have to be respected, and it's not that you have to look back. We have to look forward. There should be, we call it as Vijigishu Pravruti. That is, we have to go everywhere in the world. Whatever useful for the world, we have to do it. Krunvanto Vishwamari, what we can say. Or Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The whole world is our family. These are the things. We call them as culture. And that has to be imbibed in our young future generation. And India has a role to play based on all these things.
The last question, since we're talking about globalization, I keep hearing that English is a colonial language.
English is?
It's a colonial language. But English is not a colonial language anymore. Because English is more or less the lingua franca of the world. I mean, even when it comes to translation between, from a Spaniard to somebody or a Japanese thing, English is used. So why is this still treated as a colonial language? Why does English have to be countered by other languages?
In Sangh, we don't counter. But we also put stress on learn your Matrubhasha, mother tongue. If a person living in a metro today, I say, it is not Sangh's any policy or anything. Our Parampunjan Satsang Channel Mohanji always advises all our Swayamsevak Karyakartas to at least to learn 2 languages. But in today in metros, there is requirement of 3 languages. One is the regional language, one is mother tongue, another is carrier language. These, if there may be a situation where carrier language and also regional language is only one.
Yeah, I'm a Malayali, but I would consider Malayalam my mother tongue. I wouldn't consider it a regional language.
Yeah, that's right. If you live, if I am a Kannadiga and I have to live here in Tamil Nadu, yes, I have to respect, I have to learn. It's not that I have to, but when it comes to Kannada and English, I would say, I'm my headquartered in, if I oppose Hindi and I love English, I would feel strange because English is that much far from England. Here only you can get Hindi nearby.
Not exactly far.
I will explain. Yeah. I am not against English or I am not against Hindi also. But only to, what we can say, oppose something, make it as a campaign to oppose Hindi, it's not good for the nation. You should not, what we can say, compel anybody to learn Hindi. But as I said, you need 3 languages: regional language, carrier language, and mother tongue. If there are there may be 2 only. That's what.
No, it's a good
idea. That's what we feel. Yeah.
Are there any questions from the audience? Because we got 2 minutes. That's it. No. No. I don't think anybody's asking any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. It's good. Good dialogue.
The question he was asking you was
So Prabhuji is asking is it's okay.
if people are interested, there are many misunderstandings about Sangh, about languages and whatnot. He was asking a question. Are you in favor of 3-language formula or a 2-language formula?
No, RSS has not taken any, this one has not passed any resolution. Yes, it was my, this one. As I am living more in the metro, I feel. But our Satsang Chalak always say, anybody has to learn, even he advises our Swayamsevak Karyakartas in Hindi speaking beds, you have to learn one South Indian language or you learn Asamiya, like that. Because it makes us to feel one with other people also. That's it. There is no official resolution from RSS about 3-language, this one or 2-language, anything until now. But
what I
we,
meant
there,
was-
we stress upon mother tongue. That's all.
Now, what I meant was linked language should be English or Hindi.
No. Link language, as I said, RSS has not passed any official this one, but link language, it should be, as I said, there may be some, in some part of the country, there may be English, requirement of English. Some part of the country, it may be Hindi. If I live in some remote place of Uttar Pradesh, it will be Hindi only. For me, as a Kannadiga, link language will be Hindi only. That's why I said, my view, there should be 3. Link language, that is regional language, or this one, carrier language, and also this one, mother tongue. That's what I feel.
I just, because other, it come now, I just asked the last question because in RSS there is always a slogan when we were in Vidyarthi Parishad, we used to have Vividhita mein ekta, Bharat ki visheshta, diversity in unity. Do you think it is being implemented now, diversity has become disunity? Diversity in unity in diversity was a slogan of RSS.
Yeah.
Vividhita mein ekta, Bharat ki
Vividhita mein
visheshta.
ekata is also there, ekata and vividha is also there.
But now Vividhita is becoming, not uniting the country. No, that's what is RSS doing to implement its own slogan.
Right. There is the situation like that. Yeah. It's a challenge for us also. Yeah.
Oh, there's one question from there.
Morning, sir. Mr. Mukunda, thank you for your time. My name is Sarangan. I come from the business and technology consulting industry. You know, one thing I find is India is underplayed in the global stage. The scenario is changing a lot, and I would attribute that to our PM, Mr. Modi, in a big way. The thing is, India is a spiritual country. Wealth is always attracted to where spirituality exists. As they say, India is karma.
So what is the question?
No, the question is, learning as many languages is always a favorable thing. It doesn't have to be restricted to 2 or 3.
That's a statement. What's the question?
The question is, I think it should be minimum 3 languages.
Yeah, that's a question.
Yeah, the question is, why propose only 2 or 3 or 4? Rather, there should be, today learning any language is so easy. You should be, talking, propagating this. You go to Google or you find translators. You find language translators. So I think you should be talking about that. The technology is so easily available today.
Thank you.
You just have to, for example, I want to know what is, it's not just Indian languages, even foreign languages, like in French or German.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
You just have to use those technology tools.
Okay, thank you.
So next generation has to learn LLM also.
And the virtual languages. Definitely an interesting journey ahead. If I may please invite Ms. Lakshmi Menon to present our speaker to extend our wonderful thanks